to The Conversation on Sky Sport, where we are marking a very special occasion. It is 1 year to go until the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup is held right here in New Zealand. And to mark that special occasion, well, we're going to go backwards. We're going to rewind to the time the only New Zealand team that won a World Cup, that, well, 21 or coming up 21 years ago, the women's White Ferns in the year 2000. I've got the captain of that side, Emily Drumm, with me in studio, and then coming to us by the wonders of technology in home in Christchurch as well, Rikki Keenan. So great to have you both with us. Emily, first of all, does it feel like it was yesterday? There seems to be a lot of reminiscing about that final over recent times.
Well, I wouldn't say it feels like yesterday. I definitely feel a lot older than what I felt 20 years ago, but the memories are very recent in terms of how I recall them. And that the story does grow a little bit longer and the legend gets a little bit bigger and greater as we share those stories with our close family again, and just memories of a lifetime. We'll never, ever forget them, and such a grand day for the White Ferns.
And for you, Katrina, does it come flooding back as we're talking about another World Cup being held in New Zealand?
Oh, definitely. And I think too, with the amount of, women's cricket that we're seeing on television now, I think, you're always, whether rightly or wrongly, you're always making that sort of comparison, wondering, where the great players, the likes of Drummy and Debbie Hockley and Catherine Campbell, and some of the great athletes that we had back playing in the team back in the day, how they would actually, stack up if they were still playing currently. So, yeah, I think the more cricket that's on at the TV, the more opportunity there is to reflect. It was such an amazing day. It was an amazing result. But for me, like the whole process around it and the lead up to how we got there was just really, it was really awesome.
Do you remain close, Kat? Are you all still in contact? Is it that sort of bond that kind of forges you all together for a bit?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think, cricket is, obviously it's a team sport, but it is also has individual elements to it. And I think that's the same as personalities in the team. And, we had a really, wide range of people and personalities. And I think at times, you don't necessarily have to be best friends with people, but there was that camaraderie and that sense of there not being a weak link in our squad. So it was about everyone, leaving no stone unturned, I guess, in terms of our preparation. There was respect for everybody because everyone worked so hard, and that's continued on. We still catch up together where we can. We still, Drummy and I are obviously really good friends, and it's pretty special.
I can imagine some of the stories, and as you say, as the years go on, they might get a bit of embellishment. But Emily, you were the captain of that side, that World Cup winning side, a tag that you will always have. But can you take us back to going into the tournament and the mindset of the team, this tournament that was being held in New Zealand, and how you felt leading into it?
Well, I guess for me personally, I can only talk about my experience. We'd been to a few World Cup finals before. So now on home soil, it was a chance for us to finally get the monkey off the back. We'd lost a couple, and leading the side, there was so much determination and just real desire to put in the best we could as a team.
You had a really experienced team,
We did. It was almost, for me, thinking back, it was either now or never at that time. We had about 60 years worth of playing experience retire at the end of that World Cup. So that was the time for us to shine. And at home in front of our fans, the groundswell of momentum was really vivid to my recollection anyway, around just the feeling amongst the team that New Zealand cricket had supported the World Cup really well, and ICC had just started to get into the women's game. So there's lots of things happening that were really proactive around the game, and probably the start of where we are now today in terms of ICC's involvement. But for me, just remembering just the fever of us tightly together as a team, working really hard at Lincoln University and just getting our way through that tournament just gave us such a good little run up to the final, and we knew that we had to make the final to have any chance, and if we did, then anything could happen.
And it did. And you're a Cantab, it was just down the road at Lincoln. I think all the teams stayed together, is that right? It was like almost dorm styles.
Yeah, definitely. With the university, Lincoln University based out at the facility as well. It was the perfect location, really. It's an organiser's dream. But it was just so fantastic. And I think we had, was it something like, was it like 8,000 or something? I'm not 100% sure, but
no,
I mean, it was more people.
We can say it was 10, 20.
We actually can. Someone will fact check it, but
there were plenty.
It was it was at capacity, and it was just incredible, and the game was televised as well on Sky Sports. So, the whole momentum leading into that tournament, and New Zealand cricket under Chris Doig's leadership had done such an incredible job, marketing the game. And I think we were even like, we were on the back of a big red bus at one point. I think there was a big poster of the team. And yeah, there was just so many firsts, like signing autographs, and it was just crazy. It was amazing.
Did you practice your signature?
No, I mean, I actively seeked out people, even if they didn't want my autograph, and be like, sorry, can I help? So I was the extreme. But, yeah.
But you bring up a point and you talk about the late Chris Doig. I think Claire had started sponsoring the Black Caps, and they came on and sponsored the White Ferns. How significant were those steps? And I think Chris Doig basically said, we might take a financial hit, but we're going to suck it up, and it's worth us doing it. How important was that to you as players and people who had given so much to the game?
Well, it represented a whole new media profile. I didn't really know anything about media training or anything like that, how to address the media. I was very raw and green in that respect, and the profile of the game grew so quickly, and fantastic, of course, but there was a lot of expectation that comes with that too. It wasn't just here you go and have fun. It was certainly, right, we're going to invest in you, and we're going to give you the opportunity to become the best cricketers you can at this point in time. So Chris Doig, for me, was such a figurehead for this World Cup, and he made it happen. So certainly a lot to thank him for.
If we go back, you beat India in the semi-final, then it's Australia in the final. I think it was a couple of days before Christmas, like December 23rd or
That's
something.
right.
So everyone would have been, reveling in a summer and getting into holidays and all of that. So all out for 184. Batting first in 48 overs. So what's the mentality, particularly if you kept going out to bowl to try and defend that total against a really good Australian team in that final?
I think, women's cricket, I think back then, even though we all agreed that we didn't have enough runs on the board or didn't have, take the opportunities that we could have. I think for women's cricket, anything around that 180, 200, 210 always gives you something to aim for or aim at. For me, I'd been so clear with my bowling process probably 18 months out from the World Cup that I was able to go into that final without any anxiety, any what if. I felt really confident in my stock delivery. I knew I could bowl consistently in the channel. I knew I could shape the ball away if conditions were favourable. And so I actually, not arrogantly, but confidently, got the ball and opened the bowling, believing that I could do it.
Edge, and the catch is taken, and that is the big breakthrough that the New Zealanders needed.
Just the start the Kiwis were looking for. Katrina Keenan getting one to move away from right-handed Kitely.
And as the skip, obviously had faith in her, and others though. I think Aussie needed 10 off 11 with 1 wicket remaining at the end. What's the process then? You've got this 10,000 packed crowd at Lincoln wanting to see you that close. So what's the process as the captain in those final stages?
Panic. I just remember the most intense amount of pressure because for me, having lost 2 World Cup finals, we've got it in the palm of our hand. I've used all of our best bowlers. This one here went for 19 off 10 overs. I remember it really clearly, and I needed my best bowlers to stand up, and they did. There's a lot of, I guess, digging deep into your experienced crew, like the Debbie Hockleys, Catherine Campbell, and trying to get those big-time players that can stand up and keep cool under pressure, and trying to get everyone working together, and I was just so lucky to call on the likes of Katrina and Claire Nicholson right at the end there, who was handed the ball. I'm not sure she really wanted it. It was either her or Hayley Tippin. So we had to make a call, and it came down to the fact that we wanted to take the pace off the ball. So we didn't want a sneaky little edge to go for 4. So there's some 50-50 calls. Sometimes they go your way, and sometimes they don't. And as it happens, it went our way. But there's an enormous discussion right before the last over as to what was going on.
6 balls, 5 needed, 1 wicket left.
Australia, the world champions. New Zealand have lost the last 2 World Cup finals. What a script.
The three of us, Debbie, myself and Catherine, we all talked about what we should do. I wanted Haiti, and then she said no, and then we kind of bounced around, so it probably took an age, and the poor fielding team probably thought, what on earth are we doing? But we made a decision, we went for it, but I was so determined to get the right field. As it happened, it didn't matter. We didn't need a fielder other than the wicketkeeper to take the important catch. But a very stressful day. I don't know if Katrina remembers, but I did blow up a little bit at half-time and said it is now or never, and we give everything. And the months and months of practice, the fitness was really critical. I don't think we would have won that game if we hadn't have been as fit as what we were. And lots of things went our way too. So a relief once it was over, as you can imagine.
Do you remember it blowing up?
Which time? No. I mean, you know, like as I said, Drummy's such a dear friend of mine. But you know, the huge respect and quite a different relationship on the field. So you know, such a great player. So yeah, when Drummy spoke and delivered something, you knew what the intent was. And that was the same for a lot of the senior players. I think, you know, the senior players really drove the culture and the standard. And, you know, I know as a young player coming into that side, you know, you wanted to... You know, you wanted to impress them. You were always fighting hard for a place in that playing 11. And then, you know, even if you were bowling, myself as a strike bowler, I like to take the new ball and bowl downwind. But if you started and you're bowling second change and into the breeze and batting at 10 or 11, you wanted to make sure that you played your best games. So they could not leave you out of the side. But the other thing I wanted to mention too about the game, because of course there was so many, you know, shifts in momentum throughout that whole game. And Drummy talked about the fitness, and I think that was a huge difference for us to really turn that corner as non-professional players and make that commitment to doing the exceptionally hard work around fitness. I mean, I don't think there was, Drummy, one fitness test, one beep test that I did that I didn't throw up out at Lincoln pretty early on too, which is a bit embarrassing. But, you know, once I made that commitment, you know, we really started to put in some great results. But it was the fielding as well, you know, under Mike Shrimpton, who was just an exceptional cricket brain, an exceptional coach. You know, fielding was a big focus for him, and we wanted to be, you know, the best fielding side. And you look at the impact that someone like Helen Watson, ET, had at that tournament, those run-outs that she picked up, they just changed the game.
Big shout here. No. Looked as though it had gone. Oh, that could be close. Now then, David Quested, and the White Ferns are absolutely ecstatic.
There's Watson there, the underarm dive, the half-back pass, and she has got McGregor miles away. I'm
getting goosebumps and my heart's pounding listening to you guys reminisce about this and remembering what that was like. For you to be able to it must be an extraordinary feeling, and that it must have been an extraordinary feeling when that final wicket fell, and that you can sit and chat about it, re-watch it and reminisce. Like I'm thrilled to listen to you talk about it.
It was a freakish game. I can't really say any more than that. There was some unusual dismissals, direct hits, which changed the whole momentum of the game. It was a beautiful game of cricket where one side would just edge ahead, the other would pull back, and vice versa. And it was just ebbing and flowing. It was a purest dream. It wasn't the easiest to captain, and I must say that there's times when I had to lean heavily on my senior players. You know, the likes of Katrina, Rachel Puller, who were just so exceptional with the ball in hand.
Bowler, what a delivery that is. The delay, making Mano wait, the field changing, and what a delivery to produce at exactly the right time.
And we relied heavily on the likes of, you know, Rebecca Rolls behind the stumps to keep the standards up. There were so many people. Everyone played their part. There wasn't any heroes. We were all equal, and we've remained that way ever since. And that's the beauty of it, that it was such a team effort, all the staff off the field, on the field. It was just a great day, and we tossed a coin and we won it right at the death. So, you know, just euphoria. and a memory that we discuss and really enjoy revelling in when we get the chance.
And the crowd here at Lincoln go absolutely berserk. What a moment.
The crowd running on. I know Henry Nichols in the Black Cats has talked about as a kid he was there and running on and them charging towards you, Kat, and it's a little bit of a surreal moment to think, holy heck, we've done this.
Yeah, I mean, it was so many emotions. So many emotions afterwards, I think. In the moment, it was just like, I know I'd lost my voice that evening, the next day. I mean, there was just so much to reflect on and so much to talk about, and it was just such an amazing moment. There was a sense of relief because, we'd worked so hard, and we'd always worked hard, but we'd always just fallen short. I'd played, like Drummy had said, in a previous World Cup in '97 where we missed out. In the final, and we often played most of our international cricket against Australia, and they were very tough to beat. So it meant so much. And yeah, just that moment with just the joy from the crowd. I mean, honestly, it's still, even now, it's really emotional. Even now, I still, sometimes, sit back and reflect, and you get emotional to think that we did that. It was really cool.
I've been flicking through that great book that has been written about women's cricket in New Zealand. The very weighty, you don't read it in bed because if you drop it on your nose, you'd break it. The Warm Sun on My Face, and with a copy of it up here. But there's a little anecdote in there, Katrina, about a song. You had a hit song on the radio in Christchurch or in Canterbury, a country song at the time, and I'm going to need you to explain that better than I can.
Oh, yes, indeed. So I
Brilliant.
did.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, wow, wasn't expecting that. But no, look, I sing, and I've always enjoyed singing. Funnily enough, I had never really had the confidence to do anything with it, which seems like crazy because I seem quite confident, but there you go. So I quietly, I'd sung in a couple of, bands in Christchurch. The Fab Three was one of them. In fact, Drummy, do you remember the Fab Three? Yes. They were all down there on the sidelines celebrating. I mean, that was so cool. It was so cool to connect with people outside of your other, your singing, or just to have that support. But I had written a few songs and recorded them because I just decided that's something I wanted to do. And they ended up, I think someone at ABC Entertainment or somewhere like that in Australia had picked up on them, and next minute were looking at me to do some support acts for some international, like Gene Pitney and Charlie Pride, and that's kind of when that song came out, and they kind of played it in and around the World Cup, I think. But yeah.
Well, according to that book, it played out over the speakers after that final wicket, and as the celebrations were happening, you're belting out the song around the ground.
Oh, yeah, I think I vaguely recall that. We had a team song as well that played out as well. I think it was a Studio 54 song. But no, that song had been played on local radio, and I think it had been, look, it was one of those cute things where you could ring up and vote for it. And I think my dear grandmother, who's since passed away, I think she got a bit excited with the voting process, and I ended up being number one for a good couple of weeks.
You're gonna belt out a couple of lines for us?
No, I'm not.
I thought it would be worth asking.
A weak moment.
Yeah, nice try.
But a mate like that book for any cricket fan, women's cricket fan, has got so many great anecdotes. But I thought that little gem was one that we had to bring up. What about the aftermath, Emily? Like you talked about being on a bus and in the lead up getting sponsorship and being back. What happened afterwards in terms of commercial profile and all of that kind of stuff?
Well, the profile did increase, no doubt about that. That was a great thing for the game, but the challenge we had to deal with was the losing of all the experienced players. So we had to bring all these young girls through, and the 18, 19, 20-year-olds come into the side, and I was still skipper and trying to blood them in, and expectations were high. Everybody expected us to just to keep the train going, and it was a tough transition. Australia were hurting a lot from that loss, and I think they made us pay for it for a couple of years, but definitely the profile did increase, and there was more on TV. There was just a bit more expected from us, and certainly that the profile of those younger players was put into the spotlight, whether they were able to cope with it and deal with it. That was tough for them. Their expectations have suddenly gone from schoolgirls cricket all of a sudden into the White Ferns, first-class cricket, probably playing a handful of games and looking like they're going to be a good player. And so there's a lot of rebuilding after that, and plus trying to get them up to speed as fast as possible. So it was a 2 to 3 year transition to get to the point where we were competing on a level that was at an acceptable level for international standard.
Because Katrina, you were one who, you didn't officially retire, Debbie Hockley, Catherine Cameron, you took a break. And I don't know if you ever came back.
She deserted me.
No.
She left me holding
the World Cup.
Oh, I think you know, I didn't officially retire then, and I guess the door was always probably slightly open, but you know, I think we just worked so hard. I just didn't know if I could continue that intensity. You know, at times we were training twice a day, often twice a day, and you know, it was just such a commitment. But we were happy to do it as well. Like, we wanted to do it for just purely for the love of the game. And I think for me, there was always that desire to make my family proud and my dad proud. And so it was just real simple motivations behind playing. We didn't, you know, we weren't generating an income from playing. We were working full time or studying. And then, of course, you know, it was focus for me was starting a family as well. And my daughters are both teenagers now.
If you had to give one piece of advice about winning and what it takes to win a World Cup to Sophie Devine and the current White Ferns team as they prepare over the next year for this tournament, what would that one little gem from Katrina Keenan and Emily Drumm?
Ooh. Yeah, for me, I mean, accountability. This is for me personally, and maybe that resonates with some of the current players, but, you know, being accountable. So, you know, in our preparation for the World Cup, we left, honestly, no stone unturned. You know, I mean, in terms of my pace bowling, it was about me being able to bowl a stock ball, shaping away, hitting the top of off at pace over the wicket, around the wicket, to a right-handed batsman, to a left-handed batsman. I mean, there's so many skills within the skill. Do you know what I mean? Yep. I didn't, and then it was looking at your short ball. It was looking at your change of pace or your Yorker, and it was that absolute focus and commitment to that work that I felt, you know, you can approach a situation with confidence because you've done the work and you're almost on, it's like deliberate practice. You're almost on autopilot. It's just there on a cellular level. You've done it so many times. You know, you can trust yourself to do it. And then the mental skills side of things, again, that's a very individual thing, but that was important for me as well. And just having a very clear plan and a very quiet mind as well. So sometimes that internal dialogue, and especially if you've been on a losing streak, that can really manifest. Sorry, I've given more than one gem.
No, I was just thinking,
greedy.
I was actually thinking, I'm going to take a quiet mind myself. I've written that down. I'll try and shut it up in there a little bit. It's a perfect little bit.
Okay, I'll stop.
Okay,
Sorry.
Emily, one bit of advice for the White Ferns as they go towards the World Cup on home soil.
Prepare as best as you can for one-day cricket. Park the T20 mindset and get yourself into the one-day mode, because every series the White Ferns are turning up to now are starting too slowly. So we're winning third game or competing in the third game or second game, have to start the ground running. So preparation is key. Fitness, know your role, believe, and go and perform.
Oh, gosh, I could sit and talk to you both for another hour, but you've got to go and do some coaching. You've got to probably go and do another show, and I've got things to do as well. But it has been so fun reminiscing about your time in the White Ferns and winning that 2000 World Cup and what's ahead with this one coming. So thank you so much, Katrina Keenan and Emily Drumm. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you for joining us on The Conversation. You can catch us on Sky Sports. Sky Sports presents all the social media channels and wherever you get all your good podcasts from, and I'll get my words out too. And of course, the ICC Women's World Cup will be held here in New Zealand, March 4th to April 3rd, 2022, all live here on Sky Sport. We absolutely can't wait, and we'll see you next time on The Conversation.